Cast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good day, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this particular webinar. My name is Michael Francis of Alcatel-Lucent Enterprise, and I'm delighted to be your host for today's session, and delighted you've taken some time out of your busy schedule to join us. Today, we're actually in our second part of this particular series, where we are taking a look at Rainbow development, partner, and business opportunities. And specifically today, we're looking at AI field management, and delighted to have with us Mr. Jim Caffier, who is founder and CEO at AI Field Management. Jim, welcome to you.
Thank you very much, Michael.
And alongside Jim today, as part of our host of speakers for today, is Mr. Jack Jackner, who is Director of Business Development for our cloud here at Alcatel-Lucent Enterprise in North America. Jack, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Michael.
So before we kick things off, just very briefly, a couple of housekeeping pieces. The slides that you're seeing today will be made available to you via a link that you can go and jump on there, and they will be updated should we make any amendments going forwards. So be sure to put that in your favorites and be able to go there and reference particular content from today and from the last session that we had last week. In addition, we will be recording today's session, so you can again go back and make use of that reference. We'll make that link available to you after today's session as well. So be sure to look out for that in your inbox. Also, during today's session, if you should have any questions, please use the Q&A tool on your control panel. Jim and Jack and I would love for this to be as interactive as possible, so feel free at any time to ask that question. We'll do our best to answer it real time, and failing that, we have a Q&A session time period dedicated at the end of the content for today. So we'll circle back then and answer any questions that we haven't been able to get to. Excuse me. So with that, I want to just quickly remind everyone that we have this as the second part of a three-part engagement with AI field management. And Jack, you'll maybe enlighten us a little bit further as to what we're looking to try and achieve and accomplish with this series of webinars. Jack.
Okay, sure. Just let me frame this up. So this is a series of webinars that we're launching, which is focused on a kind of a Did You Know series to introduce what we're doing on the Rainbow Development Partner Program, in engaging with independent software developers that integrate through our Rainbow APIs. We have a CPaaS, we have Communication Platform as a Service as part of the Rainbow offering. And the objective is to develop added value solutions that integrate Rainbow with applications that our customers are interested in, and basically to form new business opportunities with potential customers, and do so by introducing these developments to our business partner community. So this is a second part. We did one last week as an overview and an introduction to the business proposition. This part will be a deeper dive and a platform demo. We are hosting Jim, who's the founder of AI Field Management. And this is, like Michael said, 2 of 3. The third one, it would be a one-on-one session with you as a business partner. If you would like to know more about it, or have some specific customer opportunities that you'd like to discuss with us, we would be delighted to do so and then follow up with your customer. So with that, let me turn it over to Jim.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Michael. I think what would be of some use for those of you that attended last week, it might be good to have a refresher on just a couple of the pertinent slides. So let's hit those. And for those of you that weren't able to make it last week, it'll be a good intro for you. Okay, so just a few slides here. So real quick, in the 21st century, why is field or operations management so complicated? Let's just zero in on this section here. At the end of the day, there's a lack of seamless aggregation of systems and processes. And what that means is field management is really an aggregation, an amalgamation of several different systems. including HRS, CRM, ERP. It's a document repository by worker, by customer, by job. It's a scheduling dispatching system. It's a process automation and productivity tool. It's a collaboration instrument. And of course, it's a knowledge base because it really helps you execute on your jobs. If you've already solved a problem somewhere in your organization, there's no need to resolve it again. You should just be able to go to that job and understand what the steps were that were taken to solve it. So from a high level, 40,000 feet, what is AI field management? It's basically the 5 W's plus how. Who is doing what, when, where, why, and for how much. It's on a global basis, and it's in real time. Okay, to make it pertinent and relevant and useful for the user, it obviously has to be global and in real time. This is obviously from 40,000 feet, very high level, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of detail that goes into feeding who's doing what, when, where, why, and for how much. But at the end of the day, that's really it in a nutshell. So high level, it's device and platform agnostic. It runs on Windows, Mac, desktop, laptop, tablet, iOS, Android. It's completely cloud-based, global, and instantly scalable. Users can review, access, edit, retrieve, create jobs from anywhere, anytime. And we've priced it, the pricing model is we pull out all the stops, so to speak, where there's really no risk. There's no minimum number of seats. There's no minimum commitment period, and there's no contracts. So it's really a month-to-month deal where users can increase and decrease and come and go as they like. Okay, so what makes AI field management different? Well, the first up is, it's important. There's a lot of companies that say they do field management, but they usually have a pretty good understanding of the tech, to be fair. But we take a different tack. We take the user perspective. We were operations people actually before we were tech people. So at the end of the day, whenever you take a user's perspective on any of the features, you can't lose. So at the end of the day, everything that you'll see in our platform demonstrates that we understand operations. We know what it's like to work in the field because we've done it. And we know tech. So that combination creates success. We've got AI-powered translation of all messages. That's over 100 languages that are supported. So what that basically means is that every single job has its own customized messaging stream that all the workers on that particular job are able to converse and communicate and collaborate on. And now with our AI-powered translation, which is our first AI feature that's come out actually, you don't even need to speak the same language anymore. And the system is smart enough to know what your native language is without even asking you. So people all over the world can now be on the same job without having to speak each other's language. We have smart GPS, which is which gives you real-time GPS coordinates, latitude, longitude, address, pin, map, etc., of your workers without killing the battery on the phone, which is a big deal. There's an intelligent worker recommendation system, which lets you know which workers are available and which workers are not available. And that's really an important feature, especially for large or growing companies. We have modular design throughout the platform. That's important because it keeps the screen clean, right? It really produces a powerful but simple screen so that if you need access to a certain level of transparency and granularity, you got it. But it's on a need-to-know basis. The field app is designed to be easy. Remember, most people in the field, especially on a global basis, are accessing the platform through their phone. So you've got a smaller screen, you've got less CPU power, and usually the person that's accessing that platform is not an IT manager per se, right? They're subject matter experts in whatever they need to do, be that a repairman, cleaning, education, what have you, but they're not necessarily an IT expert. So you got to keep it simple, right? And we do that by design. Future AI features there'll be no time lost on it, although we're working on it at present. The data that is coming through from the traditional current programming or coding will be funneled. That data will be funneled into the AI model. So the current coding is not what we call "quote unquote" garbage coding. It is a funnel and a feeder for the AI features. So that's good. We have aggressive pricing without sacrificing on features. That's a big deal. We're not trying to go heavy on features and then charge an outrageous price. And on the other side, we're not trying to charge a really low price but not give you decent features. We're giving you both. It's really a sweet spot that is not being addressed in today's market, especially on a global basis. It's really, the system's about data and communication and on a need-to-know basis. And for people that need to know, the people that are assigned, the workers, the SMEs that are assigned to a particular job have the access to the right level of granularity and transparency. For people that are not assigned to the job, they're not taken off focus from what they need to do, right? So they stay focused on what they need to stay focused on. And talking about focus, we apply the 80-20 rule or the Pareto rule to everything that we do. That produces focus, that produces client value, and that, of course, gives repeat business. So that's really good for everybody involved. Now, I'm going to skip to a couple of slides here just real quick because I wanted to show what the platform looks like. So there's a company admin panel. I will show you that momentarily. There's also a mobile field worker app. I will also show you that. We'll go to deep dive on both of these. And this is where most of the communication and collaboration and updates are happening. We are currently working on a dedicated customer portal that will be built out by the end of this month, actually. So in about 30 days or so, this will be live as well. Now, the one feature I'd like to bring to your attention is our integration that we're doing with Alcatel-Lucent. We are working on a peer-to-peer VoIP PSTN video calls with Alcatel-Lucent via their Rainbow feature set. So what's that going to look like is, so this is roadmap for January 2019, so it's coming up. This is generic job 115, and if you will assume there's 10 workers, whoops, sorry about that. Assume there's 10 workers on this particular job, and you as an administrator or a VP of operations or a business owner, you don't need to try to figure out who's on this job, what's their contact information. All that should be automated. How much time do we spend trying to figure out these sort of things? Well, with what we call, this will be our real-time collaboration, and just through one-touch conferencing, you can either decide to make a voice call or a video call. And this will all be seamless under the hood, behind the scenes. AI Field Management Platform will contact the Rainbow APIs. And with just one touch, you'll be able to either access VoIP or PSTN, and you'll be able to make voice conferencing or video conferencing. And remember, these workers can be anywhere in the world, and you won't need to do anything more than touch one button to be able to conference them all in real time, right there on the spot. So I wanted to bring that to your attention because we're really excited about that. So that's it for the refresher. At this point, I will now jump over to the platform and give you a look at, this is the company admin panel. This is the administrator view, if you will. And this is the field mobile worker app. I'll come back to this in a moment. Now keep in mind the buttons here look a little bit large because I'm doing this off my Mac rather than off a phone, which is to the typical access point. But nonetheless, we'll come back to this in a second. Okay, so this is the company admin panel. And on the introductory screen, it will give you, and remember, this dashboard will change over time as we add more features and more information. But for today, this is where it's at. You've got a list of the new customers you've been able to acquire in the last 30 days, total customers, total workers, total jobs, and total unconverted estimates. It'll also give you a flow of the jobs over time. And remember, a job can be 5 minutes or 5 months. As you wish. It's really up to the user to determine the duration of any particular job, but it gives you a nice high-level view of how well is the business going. Okay, and I'm going to run through this a little bit quickly just because I know that we're recording this so that you can go back and see it later. And we have a Q&A session at the end as well, so I can bounce back here at any moment. So there's 4 legs to the stool at the end of the day, and when you've got these 4 legs humming, you're really working the system properly. So the first leg of the stool is workers, second leg is customers, third leg is job statuses, and the fourth leg is jobs. And the reason why we say there's 4 legs to the stool is once you set up workers, customers, and job statuses, what marries up these 3 is really the jobs, right? And sure, there will be some activity in workers and customers. Not usually in job statuses. Once you set those up, those are usually pretty good, but nonetheless. So there's some activity here, but really once you set these 3 up, you're pretty much good to go, and it's just the setting up of the jobs that marries up all 3. So let's go into each one a little bit here so that you can see what it looks like. A typical worker list that you can access. Now, if you've got 10 workers, a list is easy. If you've got 1,000, then obviously you're going to want to use the search feature. And the search feature searches on any alphanumeric category that you've input data on here. So no worries. And we even provide you generic areas where you can put in whatever information is relevant to your company, industry, or in your particular part of the world. As different companies in different geographies like to track different employee aspects. So when you jump in on a particular worker, you can upload their profile picture. You can give them a color coding if you like, where you would like notifications to go to. This is where you put in their contact information. And remember, you have access to international phone formats, so country code, area code, and phone numbers. You can also, this is also where you provide access with a username and a password. Remember, your workers cannot access the platform through their field app until you provide them access right here. You can even do payroll on our system. And it doesn't do the taxes to be fair, but it does provide you with regular rate and 2 overtime rates. So a pretty good level of granularity that you can pull for any time frame that you see fit. You can punch in their schedule. You can even upload documents on a per worker basis. Now remember, some of the things I had mentioned just 10 minutes ago about what makes field management so complicated. One of the boxes was you needed an HR system or a check mark in that box. And so this is the HR piece of the system, and you need a document repository. And so you can upload documents on a per worker basis, per customer basis, per job basis to that level. And you can even be notified when that document expires. Typically companies, organizations need employees, contractors, suppliers, what have you, to sign a policy, procedure, that sort of thing, document, contract. So you can upload those here. Okay, so that's the worker. And we try to keep the UI relatively consistent. So worker list, add a new worker, customer list, add a new customer. So we try to keep it simple by design. Again, you can have as many customers as you like. The charging model is based on users, and a user is defined as an administrator or a field worker. So when you go to your customers, so access to a lot of information here. And remember, when you create a new estimate or a new job from this screen, it will pre-populate the company and address information. So no need to re-input that. You have access to keeping notes here. So if you think of a customer that calls in, emails, or what have you, that wants service, or even an internal customer that it needs an update on something, on a project, you can just easily review the notes here quickly. And it's in chronological order with the newest note on the top. You can keep financial data on the customer, credit card information, credit rating information, and how you'd like that customer to pay. And keep in mind that, for a small business, you probably don't need access to all of this, but, small businesses turn into medium-sized businesses, medium into large. And what we've seen in our experience is that although you may think that the features you're seeing, these are really cool, but I don't need all of that. You may not need all of that today, but you'd be surprised how people change systems within 24 months or so. It seems to be like the average number because they didn't forecast what features they will need if their business actually grows. So we've built this so that you've got access to what you need when you need it. All right, so that's the financial tab. Remember, we build it in a modular sense, right? So if you don't need to access the financial data, no problem. That can stay hidden and you never have to go there. Service locations. So if you've got corporate clients, you'll definitely have more than one service location, right? So you can have one that's primary for a head office and others that are secondary. And you can have as many as you like. You can track assets or equipment on a per customer basis. Remember, this is generic customer ABC, and they've got several pieces of equipment. You can have as many pieces of equipment as you like. And at the end of the day, you can track right down to the manufacturer, right down to the equipment type, the model number, right down to the serial number. And that's important because when you tie the serial number with any specific notes that you may want to give, that you may want to provide for each specific asset, that's really important because then the field worker will be able to see this on their phone. So if you've got a specific a vehicle business or cleaning or repairing of fridges or freezers or anything that has to do with any kind of an asset, you can literally provide instructions or track on a per serial number basis and provide notes on that specific serial number. And you can continue to add notes to that serial number. And then obviously, like I said, the field worker can access that information from their phone. Document repository, again, you can upload documents on a per customer basis. And so think in terms of contracts, service level agreements, even sales pitches, right? This is the system is really about documenting and organizing on a per worker basis, per customer basis, per job basis. And there's a history tab as well. And again, you have access to the notes in a different format. This is the history for company ABC. You can see the jobs, the job history here. You can see estimates. You can see invoices. So all of that in just pretty easily accessible at a fingertip. Okay, so we went over the first leg, which was workers. Second leg is customers. The third leg of the stool is job statuses. And when you go to job statuses, it's real simple to produce a job status. You pick a color, you indicate what you want that color to represent, you hit save, and you're done. And this is and why this is cool is because in addition to being able to customize exactly what you want to search on and what you want to be updated on as the job progresses through, through to the end, you can actually do this in different languages, right? And you can even do this bilingual or trilingual or multilingual as if you wish. So if you've got a multilingual workforce, and you could set up separate job statuses if you'd like, or you can just put it all on one line. So in the U.S., for example, you could have it in English and Spanish, and that saves your workers time. They don't have to figure out what this means. It's in their own language as well, right? So that really opens this up to any industry. And so, why are the colors important? Colors are important because when you go to your calendar, we give you three different views on the jobs, right? So the fourth leg of the stool is jobs, and we give you three different formats to be able to access those jobs. This is your legend, obviously. You produce these statuses, and on the calendar view, you can see all your jobs for the day or for the month, as you wish. They're all there one shot. And typically, a lot of users use this screen as an early warning system, if you will. So it's really about trying to understand where you should focus your efforts, right? As a leader, you have to understand where do my people need help, and you don't want to waste time typically on something that's green. It's on track. You leave it alone, right? Something that's black, it's done. You leave it alone. Something's red. That's where you could double click and figure out what's going on. Go read the messaging stream, and in January you'll be able to do, like I mentioned before, with that one-touch conference, and you'll be able to dial in everybody on that job in real time and be able to figure and understand what the status is in more detail. So that's the calendar view. The second view on the jobs is the dispatch view. And the company dispatch view is cool because it gives you the time or days going across the x-axis, and it gives you your workers, employees, contractors, suppliers, what have you, going down the y-axis. And like I said, you can color code the workers. So if you've got specific kinds of workers, IT, cleaners, repair technicians, what have you, you can color code those as well. And you can see, and people often use this to see, who's maybe overloaded with a job and who is idle, right? Because that's what kills profits. As you may recall from last week, that having idle workers helps nobody, right? So you can drag and drop and reallocate resources right on the fly, right here. So that's the second view is the dispatch view, and the third view is what we call the dashboard view. And in this view, my personal favorite, but in this view, you can see when the job is happening, the date of the job, the ticket number. These are auto-produced, so don't worry about that, but you'll need a ticketing system. So ticket number, when was the job created, who's the customer, where's the customer, how long is the job supposed to take, who's been assigned to the job, right? And of course, you can assign more than one worker to a job. And so in this case, these three workers are assigned to this job. Now, worker Z1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is not assigned to this job 248. And so they won't see this on their phone. And that's by design, right? It's on a need-to-know basis. You can also see a high-level description of what that job is about. and you can see the current status of the job. And of course, you can toggle on the headings on any one of these headings. Now let's jump into the detail on one of these jobs so you can see what it looks like. All right, so this is again generic job 248. And again, here too, you can upload, remember, you can upload documents on a per worker basis, per customer basis, and now on a per job basis, right here. So think in terms of if there's a specific blueprint or schematics or something that you need to share with the field, this is the place to do it, and they can download it from their phone instantly. Now, if you don't like the job, cancel it. If you love the job, you can copy it. If you want to download it into Excel and email it or PDF it, no problem. If you do PDF it, it'll look something like this. All the information that you're looking for is right here. Summary, any documents, the scheduling, all the job notes and messaging stream will also be there. And the pictures, of course. The financial data, if you're using that part of the system, will also be there. It will not show your margin in case you want to share this with, in case the user wants to share it with a customer. And that's by design, obviously. There'll be a signature that will also be on the PDF, and it will even show the location logs of the workers over time. Because as the job is tracking, it's included in the PDF. Okay, so that's the PDF, but let's see what it looks like in the actual job. Right, okay, so when you go over to worker location, now there's two ways the GPS feature works, and we'll talk about it right now. So the first way is a manual query. So as an administrator, you may want to know where your workers are right now, right? You don't want to wait for the system's automatic cues to kick in. So as an administrator, you have that ability to hit manual query and get a map, get a pin, get an address by worker, and even get the GPS coordinates as well. And then you can even search on those GPS coordinates if you want to see how far you were from the field worker right now. So you can do that as well. So that's the manual way. And remember, folks, for you to be able to get the GPS readings of the worker, and this is by design and a control feature, the worker needs to be logged into the app, right? There's no tracking of the worker, obviously, when he's not working. When he or she is not working. All right, so it comes with a date and timestamp, of course, and you can do this manually, like I mentioned before, and it keeps a log over time of all the different, where the worker was over time as they progressed through the job. Now, if you don't have time to do a manual query, that's fine. The system will automatically give you readings on where he or she is as well. So, and again, you get a map, you get an address, you get the GPS coordinates again, and it's all done by worker. And this is done automatically. And again, there'll be a log, okay? And the system works from a perspective of every time the worker changes the job status or adds a message to the messaging board, a GPS record will automatically be shot out to the system. So that's a real convenient way where the administrator can come back, years later if they wanted to, and take a look at where the worker is where the worker was at any given time. This is where you'll see the signature with a date and timestamp. And remember, it could be a worker, it could be a customer, any device, a laptop, tablet, phone, no problem. With a phone, obviously, you'll be signing with your finger, no problem. Okay, here's the job notes that we had talked about before. And in this case, remember I said there is a customized messaging stream per job, right? So if you can think about all those times where you text or even, using one of these other messaging apps to communicate or email or what have you, it really gets messy very quickly because it's not organized, right? So if you're looking for this particular messaging stream on this job and you're using email or whatever, it becomes really hard to find where what the message was, what was the status of the different jobs. In a week, 2 months, 6 months, you won't find it. So it's much easier to have this documented and organized by job, and you can see the messaging stream is in different languages as well. So I hit translate, and the system, without asking me, knows what my native language is. It's English, and here we have it in Zulu, here we have it in Romanian, here we have it in Mongolian, Russian, Arabic, Chinese, and in each case, it will keep the original language there, and it will put your native language in italics below. So if, just to come, with a use case, if you're in the US and you've got one field worker that speaks Spanish, another one that speaks English, those workers can type or verbally dictate into the messaging stream in their own native language, and the person seeing it can now see it in their native language also. And again, you don't have to tell it what native language what is your native language, it knows. And of course, as you can see, the picture quality is excellent, and that's by design. That takes up more room on the server for us, of course, but we want you to be able to use this as a master system of record. And in many cases, it's very value oriented to be able to take before and after pictures of any particular job, screenshots, whatever. So you can use the system in that way as well. All right, so that's the messaging stream piece. Scheduling, you can see the status, you can see the day of the job, you can see what time the worker was supposed to show up, what's the time of the job, the duration of the job, what's the status, priority of the job, excuse me, and who has been assigned to it. Now, there's the second half of the job is the financial component, which you can use or not use. It's totally up to you. You can charge for products and services. You can charge for drive time and labor time. You can charge for expenses to get reimbursement of expenses at no margin. You'll notice that the system is tracking on a per line item basis, is tracking the margin you're making. So that's excellent granularity for you. There's two levels of taxation depending on where you live. Usual kind of federal and provincial or state level tax. And of course, you can see in terms of what is the job cost for you as the business owner, and you can see what your gross margin is on a percentage and currency basis. And keep in mind that the currency, we've got must be 30, 40 different currencies on the settings page. So it doesn't have to be the US dollar, of course. It could be euro, Great British pound, what have you, no problem. Okay, so that's the detail of the four legs of the stool. Again, workers, customers, job statuses, and jobs. I showed you three different formats: calendar, dispatch, and dashboard. A couple of search features I'd like to just bring to your attention is, let's say you're running a citywide, statewide, even a global operation, and you don't want to go, looking through every single job to see, what job is an emergency, or, what's red right now, or what have you. So you can always just kind of go here and do a search. And when you do a search, and you can search on any status. And remember, you created the statuses. So here's your statuses right here. So if I search for current jobs that are of an urgent, quote unquote, status, then it's job 63, 171, 301, 531, just as an example. And if you, as a user, you can go then in and see what the messaging stream looks like, or give it 60 days if you want to, and you'll be able to, with one touch conferencing, be able to use the Alcatel Rainbow feature set and dial everyone up instantly. That's associated with that particular job on a customized basis. Okay, so that's the company admin panel. And I know, again, I ran through that a little bit quick. It's a lot of data to digest. There are other features that I won't jump into on this particular call. But again, we're doing one-on-ones after today, so we're happy to go into more detail or answer any questions you may have after. Okay, so that was the company admin panel. Let's jump over to the field worker app and take a look at what we have here. So remember I said we could do payroll. Right down here at the bottom, the field worker can clock in and clock out. So for breaks, start of the job, end of the job, what have you, and then you'll be able to pull payroll information instantly. They have access to their profile, obviously. They can even create, and this is a toggle on or off feature, but most people keep it on. The worker can actually create a job or an estimate themselves as well, and then you as the administrator will be able to see it on your calendar. So access to their profile, like I mentioned before, and they can access the customer information as well. And when they go in and view any particular customer, they can see the locations that are associated with the customer. And remember, again, this is on a need-to-know basis, and it's built like a matrix. So you can see the job history. So as a worker, you can see the job history for any particular customer. But having said that, obviously the jobs didn't start at job 68, they started at job 1, but this worker did not work on jobs 1 through 67 for this customer. That's why he or she does not see it. So it's on a need-to-know basis. And if they wanted to jump in on any particular job, they can do that. With just one click, they can go back and see all the details of any particular job as a refresher, or to help them understand how they solve a particular problem, or just to see the notes. Now, where they're going to spend most of their time, to be honest with you, is on the job list, right? So when they go on the job list, they will see. So we decided to go with a list view of the jobs, if you will, because it's much easier to see a list view of the jobs on a small phone, small screen, rather than a calendar view. Calendar view gets a little mucky pretty quick. So they have access to current day jobs. So it'll default to the current 24-hour period jobs. By design, obviously, they have access to their past jobs, and they have access to future jobs, i.e. jobs that have been assigned but not yet done. They can see from the summary screen the date of the job, the current status of the job number, and who the customer is. And with just one click, they can go in on the details of the job. And you can see again here, this is all modular, right? They have access to actually quite a bit of information, but having said that, far less than the company administrator does. And again, that's by design. But you got to keep the screen clean, and the way we do that is just build in the tabs, right? So if you don't need to go somewhere, you don't. So we talked about the job statuses. That was the third leg of the stool. They are forced and funneled to use one of the job statuses that you created. And so you can easily, so when they come here and say, hey, you know what, I started the job, they hit save. I'm done with the job, they hit save. The second they do that, the company calendar will update immediately in real time. Okay, so that's part of the power of the system. Is you don't need to call, text, WhatsApp, email, or any kind of a frantic, hey, I need to talk to you. The system will update immediately as you progress. If you use the platform as it was designed to, you will find more hours in a day. And that's really the whole point here, is to make you more effective, efficient, and economical, right? What we like to call the 3 E's, if you will. Okay, so the job statuses are easy. We build everything with big boxes, so it's simple and easy to use. They just click on the status and hit save. It updates in real time. Okay, let's say they're not sure where they're going, right? Where's the job located? No problem. All they need to do is highlight the location that you've punched in, and with a couple of clicks, they can go and it'll open up their favorite mapping software, and they'll be able to go. They'll get directions immediately. Now, remember, it doesn't have to be an address, right? In some parts of the world, an address is not very accurate. So you can put in an address, you can put in longitude, latitude, GPS coordinates, or you can put in a Google Map link. No problem at all. In terms of scheduling, there's a lot of time that's spent, prior to using the system. I can tell you that I used to spend a lot of time trying to manage my field, trying to inform them of, when's the job and all the rest of it. So from this screen, from this module, they can see exactly what's the status, what day is the job, what time do they need to show up, is there a specific time or a window, how long is the job, what's the priority of the job, and who's been assigned to the job. Am I alone on this job, or am I getting help? Well, it's all right here. There's no need to call and get that information. We also provide an audit trail on a per job basis. And this is important for larger, medium-sized companies, or enterprise or government, of course. They'll want an audit trail. And you've got that on a per job basis. It'll tell you the action taken, who took the action, and the date and timestamp of that action. And remember, this is just at the metadata level. And the job will track, as long as the job is live, it'll track all the actions for as long as it's live. So this is kind of like a good big brother for you to be able to keep an eye on how the job has progressed. We have a job task section as well. So some people like to work, and depending on the industry, with a task list, and that's fine. Either the worker or the administrator can punch in a task and add it, and they can both see it from their screens, from the administrator screen and from this field worker screen. And when they hit done, it'll scratch out the task and provide you with a date and timestamp of when they said that task was done. So this just provides you another level of granularity where, if a job consisted of, let's say, 5 actions, you can literally see when the worker indicated that each action was finalized. So that's excellent detail for you. The job notes. So this is the same job, 248 that I showed you from the company admin perspective. The workers can also translate, obviously, right? It wouldn't make sense if it was a one-side translation. So again, the same, Zulu, Romanian, Russian. We tested some tough languages. So other languages like the Latin-based languages, Spanish, French, Italian, easy for the translation feature to handle. So no issue at all. They too can focus in on pictures, even from a phone. The level of detail that you're able to get from the field worker app is exceptional, and we do that by design. Again, we really want to give users no reason to get off the platform. Right, that's really the whole point, so that we can continue to accumulate that data for you. Right. And when they want to add new pictures or a message to the messaging stream, again, the same theory, big boxes, easy to add anything. They can take a picture from their current library or add a new picture, no problem. The second they hit save, everybody will be notified immediately about the new message and picture that's on the stream. If there was equipment that was assigned to the job, as you recall, we had stated that you can track it right down to the serial number basis, and your field workers can have access to the specific notes that you want them to pay attention to for that specific asset. And so this is where they get to see it under the equipment tab. So excellent granularity there as well. They can even ask for a partner. If they're in trouble or they need help or what have you, they can say why they need help. They hit save. Again, the status will change immediately right here for you. Job documents, like I mentioned before. If you need to share a lot of information and the messaging stream is not good enough, or is maybe a little bit, it's not enough for the kind of information you need to share, then just upload the document. It can be PDF, Excel, JPEG, Word. All major extensions are supported. And when you do that, all the workers on the job can download the document immediately. It could be a process document or a safety document. If you need to prove that they received some particular piece of information, you can do that in this way. And then they can download it and use it or review it. It could be a schematic, some kind of detailed process, and this is the place to do it. If they need a signature, this is where they get it. And as you may recall, there'll be a date and timestamp on the company admin panel as well, so you'll know when the signature was taken. And again, the signature can be done by the worker or the customer. We've seen it both ways, depending on how the company likes to run. And if they wanted to get an idea real quick where they are compared to the customer is currently, they can always just hit directions and get that as well right here. So all of that is right there in the field worker app. And it's built in a modular sense, like I mentioned before, so that it keeps the screen clean, but gives you the transparency and the granularity that you need to manage your business. Okay, I think with that, I've gone through quite a bit of information there, and thankfully we're recording it, so you can go back and see any particular information you'd like to see and review it. But I think with that, what I'll do is I will hand it back to Michael and see if we've got any questions, comments, or queries, and we can go from there. Thank you very much.
Jim, thank you. That was a fantastic demonstration and insight into the tools that are available for both the admin and the employee or the worker. And in fact, we do have several questions that have came through. It's a busy. I think you've opened up Pandora's box in terms of information that has been sought to clarify. So, a few questions then to pose initially. So, does data need to be input manually into the AI field management? Is there an automated way?
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, yeah, fair. You know what? I should have gone through that, I guess. Good question. So obviously you can do it manually, obviously, but if you have access to to your information in a CSV or Excel format, then that's really the way to go. And what you do is you just go to settings, and you go down to the tools, data import tool, and this isn't like any, this is actually a very robust upload tool, because we give you the ability to upload a lot of information. And to do it automatically. So you can upload customer account information, customer financial information, customer service location, customer equipment. You can upload all your entire worker list. You can upload jobs even. That's not something you see often, but you can even upload all your jobs. Your product information, vendor information, inventory information, that's all accessible that you can upload right here through the settings page. We give you sample files on the side here so that you can see in what order or category by column that you need to have the data organized by. But yeah, it's real. This is the easiest, most simple, automated way to get your data into the system. Good question.
Excellent. This is a question coming from more a competitive standpoint. So would you say that voice video calling option was a top USP, Rainbow and AI field management option? Is that what kind of is a differentiator?
So we definitely look at it as a differentiator. There's no question. We're getting we've got two kinds of users, and I'll give you a little bit of detail on this. So we've got two kinds of users. One that is saying, hey, I'd love to be able to communicate. I love the messaging stream, but sometimes I need to call people, and then to do that, I need to get out of the platform, which is not what we want, right? We want to keep you on the platform because we want to be able to. You want for your own business to be able to collect the data, and so. So we've got customers who are asking for it, frankly, that want it in there. Then we've got other customers who hadn't even fathomed that you could do this, so to speak. And when we tell them this is coming, they're blown away. They love it. They love the idea of being able to not even, to be able to access through VoIP, voice over internet protocol, to be able to call all their workers with one touch. So we definitely see it as a differentiator. Even if some customers don't yet know that they want it, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So once they know about it, they get really jazzed about it. So we see this as a big deal. And we actually see our relationship with Alcatel and through Rainbow to be an important one for us.
Okay, so a great competitive advantage then.
Yeah, totally, most definitely. We wouldn't be spending our time integrating otherwise.
Excellent, great, good news. That we have a number of questions. We'll try and get through these guys, and if we don't, then we'll certainly provide. Jim, we'll work with you to provide written responses to each. You mentioned regards document assignment. Is there a batch document assignment available, i.e., not having to individually assign, not having to assign documents to individuals? Can you assign them to multiple workers?
So yes and no. It depends how you set up the job, to be honest with you. So if you set up a job with 10 workers on it, then you upload that one document or 10 documents or what have you, and all the workers on that job will get it in real time. So if you set up one job with 10 workers, then great, everyone gets it one shot. If for some reason you've set up 10 jobs with one worker per job, then you've made it more complicated than you need to, so to speak. But that's really what it is at the end of the day. Is if you set up the jobs properly from the beginning, then you should be good to go.
Okay, great response. You mentioned at the beginning, Jim, you touched on the flexibility of signing up to AI field management. Is there a limit to the number of users? So this is a scalability question then. Sure.
Yeah, no, great question. So at one point of the presentation, we had mentioned that, well, actually this was last week, so just as a refresher, the system, we have customers that are from Soho, if you can believe it, right up to enterprise. Our largest customer is a 6,000 man operation in China in over 30 cities. And we're currently actually talking to several companies in Sri Lanka and in India that have a couple 3,000, I believe. So the scalability issue is not a problem. That's kind of how we've built it on the cloud for that reason, so that you can scale up and scale down as you see fit. And we have the pricing model to reflect that. So if in 1 month, just make up some numbers, if 1 month you have 100 workers, and then the next month you explode, you need 1,000, no problem. With the pricing model, the way we set it up, you pay on a per user basis, and so that can change every month, no problem. And as your workforce or customers or whatever changes or grows, you can just use the upload tool on the settings page that we talked about 5 minutes ago, and and your downtime is minimal. You can start using those workers immediately.
Excellent. And so we have a couple of questions that are somewhat similar. So one is, what is the best way to communicate with field personnel? And the other is, can an employee or a field worker utilize the voice video calling from their smartphone app?
Yes. Okay. So, okay, two good questions there. So, let me just jump to a job here to help explain the best way to communicate. So, so it kind of depends. You hate those answers, but it depends on what you're trying to communicate. So if you're trying to communicate what is the status of the job, or like where are you from a high level, then the best thing you can do is just update the status, right? That lets everybody know where the job is at present. So that's, if it's a small piece of information, that's the way to go. If you have more information that you need to share with the team, then you want to jump to the messaging stream, right? So this is where you can provide pictures, like I mentioned, pictures with notes and what have you. And so that's really, if you've got a medium level, if you will, of information, and you want to provide pictures as well, this is the place to do it. Now, if you've got like even more than that that you need to share, then really you need to upload a document or a Google Sheets link or something like that, where the field workers can access that, from their phone, no problem.
So, Jim, sorry to interject there. I was going to ask personally, what will that look like with the Rainbow integration then? Will there be opportunity for that to be part of a Rainbow conversation bubble, if you like, where you'll see some of that information inside the bubble?
Yeah, so right now, we've got the messaging stream already built out for now in terms of what quote unquote bubbles. We may be building in a messaging stream a la Rainbow for the customer app that we're currently building out. So for now, we're gonna, we want to build on top of what's there, but in V2, it's probably going to make sense to not have a separate business logic, if you will, through the messaging stream, and just try to leverage Rainbow as much as we can going forward. Yeah, so that's the answer to that question. Now, to finish off on the previous one, in terms of the field app, definitely they're going to be able to, like I mentioned here, this is just a mock-up, but they're going to be able to make those VoIP and PSTN voice and video conference calls with one touch of a button, right off their phone, right off of the field worker app. So great, no question.
So that can either be to customer or indeed colleagues, right?
Yeah, so stage one is going to be to your fellow workers, administrators, field workers. Stage two will be, and stage two could be literally the next day. We just want to make sure that it works internally first before we put it out to the masses, so to speak. But yes, it'll also be to customers as well, definitely.
Great. I'm going to keep these rolling. There are a couple of others we can get through. So there's a question: is there a consolidated call log or history visible from the GUI or dashboard? So I guess that's in relation to, again, if they're using the voice video calling, is there consolidation on the dashboard?
Yeah. So good question. So there will be there'll be that and more, to be honest with you. So again, we're building it out now, right? So it's still very moldable and flexible. We haven't. It's still in a sandbox environment, so to speak. But yes, there will be a lot, but there'll be more than that, actually. So if you recall that, so we talked about the messaging stream, right? And how we want to be able to, for the current coding, to produce data for the AI models, right? And so the issue now becomes that once you start to have voice calls, what happens to that data? Because in a 2-minute voice call, there's a lot of data that's going back and forth. You can speak much faster than you can type. And so there's going to be a tab here that's going to have an automated transcription piece as well. So that will also be there for you. Now you'll be able to toggle that on or off. If some people don't want that, that's fine. But you'll be able to toggle it on or off. And if you toggle it on, there will be a separate tab here for voice transcriptions through calls. So the data is never lost.
Okay, but will you have at least date and timestamp then if you haven't done the okay, great.
Yes. Yes, definitely.
You showed a screen with asking for a partner. Will a worker get the option to contact someone that's available via Rainbow?
So yes, of course, yes. So I focus more on the per job basis calls, if you will. But anybody that is on the system, quote unquote, anyone that's a worker on the system will be able to through the app call that other worker. And again, it's the same. I mean, the UI will look a little different. The UX will be a little different, but it will be the same back end accessing the Rainbow API. So, yes.
Okay. And last one, is the system only for employees or can it be used for contractors?
Yeah, good question. So typically, especially in our day and age where I'll just jump over here. In our day and age where it's such a gig economy, if you will, so the system is not employee centric, right? You can mix employees with contractors with suppliers, and this is where you'll see them pop up. So you could have this one as employee 1, contractor 2, and supplier 3, and they can all, because they're all part of the resource, they're all part of the input resource of the formula to be able to run your business. So it is not employee centric. You can have any kind of resource input as a resource for your job. No problem at all. Good question.
Okay, that we have had lots of questions that we got through, Jim. Thank you very much, and it takes us up right to the top of the hour nearly. So again, if you do have any questions that you think of hereafter, I'm sure Jim, you'll be delighted to provide written response back. So Jim, Jack, any final comments? I know that indeed, Jack, out of the gate, you mentioned that our expectation is that we'd like to follow up in person in the next opportunity, that third level of engagement. So we look forward to being able to do that. Jack, Jim, any final comments?
Yeah, let me just jump in. This is Jack. So in order to do that, just send us an email. You know Michael's coordinates, and I think I'm also on the invitation list. And we'll get you in touch with Jim and or directly to Jim and keep the ball moving forward. I think there are some URLs and email addresses for Jim in the presentation as well.
Yeah, so you know what, I think I've probably done enough talking for today. I want to thank you very much, Jack and Michael, for the opportunity to showcase the platform and to show what we're doing with Alcatel Rainbow. So with that, I thank you.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, gentlemen, and thank you to all that have taken time out of your busy schedule to join us. We appreciate that, and we very much look forward to talking with you further on this opportunity. Thank you all.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Take care. Bye-bye.